So I'm finally doing it. 6 months later, I think it was 12 weeks when I asked everyone if they had any questions. Here goes my cat. He likes to start eating the camera stand, so that'll be fun. Let me open the blinds for him. Actually, let me not. I'm going to try and not do that in this video where I like wander around and pay attention to other things. So anyway, the purpose of this video is to talk about my pregnancy and baby and all that. But there are a couple things that I feel like I'm not going to make an entire video based on, but I just want to throw this out there. I was inspired by this because I was drinking a green juice when I was preparing to make this video, and it has a reusable straw in it. And I was like, I should really let people know why they should use reusable straws. And then I was like, I should also let people know why they should buy reusable shopping bags. So before I talk about my pregnancy, because to me pregnancy is sort of like a common sense thing and whatever. I guess using reusable things and not making waste should be common sense too, but we're all conditioned and we all like convenience. So go on Amazon and buy reusable straws. And here's why. I wrote down facts. So Americans use 500 million plastic straws a day, and 70, well, some of these facts kind of go for both, but they end up in the ocean and they end up degrading in landfills, but they don't actually biodegrade ever. They turn into, it's called microplastics, and they actually pollute the environment permanently. So the only way to eliminate this is to stop using them. And, you know, I know that you feel that if you buy reusable straws, you're not going to make a difference. What are you going to save? Like 100 straws a year, maybe? In the grand scheme of things, every single person that thinks that way is preventing us from progressing. So buy reusable straws. So in regards to shopping bags, I wrote down a ton of facts. Americans use 100 billion plastic bags a year, and 12 million barrels of oil is required to manufacture those. Only 1% of single-use plastic bags are returned for recycling. 80% of all of the plastic bags used end up in the ocean. That's 80 billion a year. There are 100,000 marine animals killed a year due to plastic consumption, plastic tangling them, etc. 100,000, not 100 million. 71% of seabirds and 30% of turtles are found with plastics in their stomach upon death. So, I probably should have brought my straws and my reusable bags here. And I'm not saying I'm perfect with this. I end up with a lot of reusable bags because when I realize that I don't remember to bring them to the store, I just buy more. And you can always ask for paper also. Not every grocery store offers that, but if you do forget to bring your bag, you can ask for paper bags instead. So on to my pregnancy. Okay, so there's a bunch of questions I get asked all the time. I'm going to cover the basics of it. I'm probably going to end up rambling. But I think the question that I get asked the most is about cravings and if I'm eating raw and if I have had morning sickness. So I'm kind of going to combine all those into one. When I first was pregnant, I was eating raw. I did not have morning sickness. And I did have some cravings. They started getting strongest probably like 7 or 8 weeks, and I also had some food aversions, and I also had extreme fatigue. So the combination of all of this was making it really difficult for me to feel like preparing like big salads and things, and even really eating salads, and definitely not juicing. There was not a chance in hell I was getting my juicer out because I was so tired. To this day, I'm in the 3rd trimester. Well, it depends on whose calendar you're looking at, but I'm 27 weeks. I have not experienced fatigue like that at any other point in time in my life. So juicing was kind of out of the question. And I wasn't getting in greens. And the first pregnancy book that I read was, or started reading, was Mama Natural, which she has a lot of good advice in there, but I skipped the nutrition section. I did get a lot of the basis of how I felt about having a natural birth and not having ultrasounds and things like that. The seed in my head was planted from this book, but I did my own research and kind of developed my own common sense, really, in terms of that. So anyhow, like a little seed got planted in my head about protein, and we're like, how can you build a baby without protein? And I was just like, couldn't eat enough calories of just fruit. And I was like, okay, well, I know a lot of raw vegans that once in a while eat some potatoes, so I'll just have cooked potatoes. And I did have a really strong potato craving. So I started baking potatoes, and then it turned into, which by the way, potatoes aren't like a great source of protein. It was just like the allowing myself to be flexible that started with that. And when it came to protein, my midwife had talked about lentils, and so that led me down the bean path. And I just had like this crazy, probably 2 weeks where I had like endless refried bean cravings. So that led us to like going out to Mexican food and eating veggie fajitas. Not that I would eat the bread, but just like cooked in oil for sure, all that stuff. So for the first trimester, I was eating cooked food and feeling like total crap. Now, it's hard to say what caused what. Like, when I stopped eating cooked food, I started feeling way better. But also, it's very common in pregnancy to have really low energy in the first trimester and get better in the second. My digestion was complete garbage in the first trimester, and still for a little while after I started eating raw again. And then, so when I started getting my energy back, I started just making raw food. I think it was right before Easter. I want to say it was right before Easter. It's like the beginning of March. I just said no more cooked food, absolutely not. And immediately I felt an amazing difference, and I haven't eaten cooked food since then. And I'm not saying that that's for everybody or anyone, everyone can make it through pregnancy this way, but I just feel my absolute best this way. So first trimester, no, I was not eating raw. The rest of my pregnancy, I have been eating raw, and I will continue to eat raw throughout breastfeeding and all that jazz. Someone also asked if I had non-vegan cravings. I'm trying to think. The only things that I really found myself like, I wouldn't even call it a craving. It wasn't like an overwhelming urge. And I also noticed all of my cravings went away pretty quickly. So it was just easy to ignore them once I realized that. But the one thing that did come up, all of my cravings that like popped in my head that weren't foods I would normally eat, seemed to be like things that I ate as a kid, like peanut butter and jelly on white bread. There was a couple days where I was like, man, peanut butter and jelly. Or this is the one non-vegan craving I had the whole time. Those cheese things that come in like red plastic. I used to be addicted to those as a kid. Like I could eat 100 of them probably. But anyway, so like randomly that popped in my head. I wouldn't call anything else like a craving. Like I made some raw food that kind of tasted more like non-vegan food than I normally would. Like I made like a tuna salad type thing and an egg salad type thing. And it wasn't really because I was craving those things. It was just I was experimenting, and that's what came of it. So, yeah, so as far as cravings, the strongest cravings I really had were potatoes and refried beans. And I got over that really quickly. And it was while I was eating cooked food. So I actually ate both of those things and then I was totally over it. I think that's it. So yes, I'm still eating raw. I've been eating raw now for the past 3.5 months or so. So more than half of my pregnancy so far. And the first maybe 6 weeks, I was eating raw also. What else? Are we finding out the gender? So Brandon already knows the gender. I did not want to find out. And it was kind of a battle between us because I also didn't want to have any ultrasounds. And then I found out you could find out through a blood test. And the only thing that was holding me back from letting him know was having to have an ultrasound because I didn't want any. But I was looking for alternatives because I really wanted him to be able to have that if it was something he felt like he wanted. And I posted in this like local mindful moms group that I'm in, and everybody's like, you could have a blood test. And I was like, no shit. Why didn't my midwife tell me that? So I went and got the blood test and now he knows. And it's not like a challenging thing, like he has to keep it a secret. I think he actually really likes knowing and no one else knowing. So that's that. No, we're not finding out the gender. And for me, it's not just because I don't want ultrasounds. It was because I wanted the surprise. If I have any recommendations about books and things on pregnancy and parenting, these are the ones that I'm loving right now. There's a couple parenting ones I want to get, but when the baby's a baby, to me, it's just all about unconditional love and not being crazy and thinking that the baby's manipulating me. I'm just going to give the baby what it wants because it's a little baby and that's what it deserves. But so while the baby is a baby, I'll spend more time reading books like this. This is Positive Parenting by Rebecca Eanes. This book is just so epic. Like, you could open to any page and find really good quotes. Like, right there, it says, we can choose to be loving even if we aren't feeling loved. Or, your family blueprint will eventually become your family legacy. Draft it with care. So she gives you all these really great tools about building your family and just your family dynamic. And it's really amazing. I'm trying to find like a really good quote to read you guys from here.
Not too bad, guys.
Children do not enter this world with bad intentions. I love that. They do not come to wear us out, test our patience, or push us over the edge. They come to us with a need for love, connection, and belonging. Yet we've been taught to make them earn those things only through abiding by our rules and obeying our commands. We don't give these things freely. What if we did? What if we satisfied the needs of their human hearts and never threatened to jerk away? Imagine a generation of satisfied hearts. So this whole book is just really about letting children be children, and that you're not here to control them. You're here to guide them, etc. It's really amazing. So anyway, that's not really pregnancy related. So Ina May's Guide to Childbirth is epic. This is another one you could just open to any page and find an amazing quote. There's one about the uterus, like right in the beginning. I'm probably not going to be able to find it, but I think it says something about how the uterus is like the most amazing organ in existence, and if men had one, they should brag about it. So we should too. But anyway, this just talks about how childbirth is the most natural thing in the world, and there's no reason to westernize it or, make it seem like we need all of these medical interventions, etc. And it talks about just different ways to think about birth, to change your perception of birth, to remove the fear that you might have attached to birth based on your parents' stories they've told you, or based on what you've seen in movies. It's just like about rewiring your brain to think about birth in a more positive, natural light. And I never really had like extreme fear regarding birth. I mean, my mom had two pretty complicated labors, especially with my sister, but I never took that as that meant it was something that would happen to me, because I'm taking care of my body from day one of my pregnancy. And not to judge my mom or anything, I'm just saying, like, this is a planned pregnancy. I knew I was pregnant. I've been doing extremely healthy things for the entire majority of it, and I just trust my intuition in my body. And if anything were to go wrong during labor or birth, I would know and deal with it at that time, but I'm not afraid. And this book is full of tons of positive birth stories also, which are really helpful. I also got Childbirthing Without Fear, which basically it's a little more scientific version almost of Ina May's Guide to Childbirth, but I'm reading the back of the book to see. Really, I haven't really read too much into this because it's insanely wordy, but the main theory is that he kind of picks apart all of the fears and anxiety that have to do with birth and tells you to not have them anymore. And then, dun, 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 The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding. This book is insanely amazing. And I guess I'm answering a lot of questions about my pregnancy and birth by explaining the books I'm reading. So I'm going to go back to the questions, but Womanly Art of Breastfeeding, literally anyone who ever has a baby should read that and just like really educate yourself on why it's so important to breastfeed. Okay, so am I planning to have a home birth, a water birth, blah, 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 hospital birth, birth center birth? So we are planning to have a home birth. I haven't decided about a water birth or not. I think I would like to have the option there, but I'm not attached to it. I don't feel like that's something I necessarily need or want. I just kind of want to have the option there. So I'm going to have a birthing tub, and if I feel like getting in it, I'll get in it. Some people just get in it for the like relaxation, things like that. I'll see what I choose. The most strong thing I feel is that I'm just gonna do what feels natural. I plan on having a birth ball. I plan on having, warm compresses and essential oils and just, all the things that can make me comfortable. And if they feel natural to use, I'm gonna use them. And other than that, it's, it's just gonna be me and Brandon and potentially a doula if we find one we connect with, which I have a couple in mind. And there will be a doctor there to sign our birth certificate and basically do nothing else. There's not going to be any IVs or any of that. I'm going to be able to move freely. I'm going to be able to eat if I want. I'm going to be able to go outside. I'm going to be able to shower. I'm going to be able to do whatever I want. And I'm going to be in Costa Rica. So that's why there has to be an OBGYN there to do our birth certificate, because midwifery is not recognized in Costa Rica. So you need a licensed medical doctor. So if for whatever reason we feel there might be something wrong, the doctor's there in case of an emergency, but his rule of thumb is that he does not intervene or participate unless you ask him to, and he'll even stay outside of the house or outside of the room. He can hang out with the cat. We'll see what happens. So I have no anxiety or stress related to this. The only anxiety I have is like thinking that I need stuff. Like, I don't even know. Like, I keep asking people, like, what kind of stuff do I need? And people are like, towels. You know, and I'm like, but what else? What do I need to buy? What do I need to bring? So the doctor recommended to me a birthing ball, and which is essentially an exercise ball called a birthing ball, so they can maybe charge you more for it. I'm not sure. But so aside from like having my essential oils, just because it's like there's some that are calming or relaxing or help with pain management, and having music that feels right to me. I feel like the like first beginning stages of labor, I'm just gonna be like going through YouTube trying to find music I feel like listening to in between contractions, and then I'll be like trying to nap in between contractions, you know, just feeling it out as it goes. So by the time it gets really intense, I'm set up for success. Brandon and I are taking a birthing class right now, Birthing from Within, which so far is awesome. Because we're having a home birth, it feels like a lot of it doesn't apply so much to us, because a lot of it is about like standing your ground to not have to have interventions and things like that. But there's some stuff too about distraction techniques and pain management techniques, and we're making like an affirmation thing this week. So it's really cool. The teacher is amazing. She's a doula. It's awesome. So if you are considering having a natural birth, even if you're having it in a hospital, I recommend finding a local Birthing from Within class. There's also hypnobirthing, which I'm planning on. I'm going to look into some of the like guided CDs and meditations from that, because that's been recommended to me by a couple people that I really value their opinion. And I'm just going to see if that resonates with me. I've got a little less than 3 months to figure it out. So, what else? Will I eat my placenta? So, it's really funny because when I first heard that, it was the most repulsive concept to me in the world. Like, I don't even know what to call that. It's not cannibalism if you're eating your own organs. Is that? I don't know. But so when I first heard of it, I was really repulsed by it. And then I did more research, like I always do, on everything. Like when people talk about drinking their urine, I'm like, well, let me read about drinking your urine. Not that I drink my urine, not that I really have considered it, but I actually do believe in the benefits of it, and good for the people that can stand to do it. Maybe I'll be on your level one day. Not happening anytime soon. But so that's like where I'm kind of at with placenta encapsulation, or just eating it. I actually really believe in the restorative benefits it has after reading a lot of research. Like it can really help with balancing your hormones after birth. It helps with just like really everything. Like that birth kind of sucks out of you. It kind of rebalances you, which makes sense because it's the placenta from when you were pregnant, you know. So I've looked into it. In Costa Rica, where we're going to be, I don't know anybody that does placenta encapsulation, which is really all I would be able to wrap my head around, which is where they dry it, dehydrate it, make it into pills. I keep hiccuping because I drink my juice too fast. Or some people eat it, but I can't do that. So I just can't. It would just like, it doesn't matter. I can't handle the taste of meat, and ew. So that's it for that. A lot of people have asked me if the baby was planned, and I felt really defensive about this in the beginning of my pregnancy, because I knew that people assumed it was an accident because Brandon and I are not married. But I mean, if you know us, we're basically married. And marriage is just a document. It's not a testament to how you feel about something. And I don't see any reason that people need to be married to want to have children together. However, so yeah, the baby was planned. I mean, we didn't actively be like, fuck yeah, let's try and make a baby every day. We were just like, hey, we want kids, and if it happens, it happens. And we stopped trying to prevent it happening, and it happened like almost immediately. So it was really just such an amazing experience. Finding out that I was pregnant. I took 2 tests in one day because the first was the faintest line. And what was also really kind of cool about it is that my sister and best friend are pregnant at the same time. Both of them had their babies already, but it's really nice. Like, pregnancy is a really crazy ride, and it's really cool to just have people to talk to that are doing it or have done it recently. So it was amazing, and we couldn't really be more overjoyed. I mean, we went straight into planning mode. You know, we didn't know when or how we were planning on moving to Costa Rica, if that was even where we were planning on moving, but we kind of had to figure it out because the baby's like the ticket to residency somewhere else. So we did our research and we settled on Costa Rica, which has been like in the back of our heads for such a long time. So that's that. I think those are like the main questions that I get asked. I can't really think of anything else. The cat's locked in the bedroom. Come here. No, he's like, no, ma, I'm not coming. So, oh yeah, another one that I really get asked. I wrote down most of them, but this just popped in my head as if I've gained weight. Well, I would hope so. So the day that I found out I was pregnant, I weighed like 109 pounds, and now I'm at 124, which fluctuates totally daily, but I've been told that you should gain like 25 to 30 pounds during your pregnancy. So I am at 15 or so, give or take. Some days I'm, you know, at like 18, some days I'm at 13. But I have 3 more months to get to where I'm supposed to be. My natural, like, most comfortable weight is around 105 to 110. So you kind of base it on where your healthy weight is before. Also, you need to gain, if you're at your natural healthy weight, you probably would gain maybe 20 pounds or so. So we'll see. I don't have that far to go. Another thing I get asked about is exercise. So before it got insanely hot, walking was basically my only exercise. Sometimes jogging, but I make sure to walk or jog like almost 5 miles every day. Now, what, baby? You want to leave? Come here. That's a good stretch. Come here. Come here. So anyway, so now that it's really insanely hot, I just started going back to the gym, which I like because I get a better workout in. I like doing like uphill walking and intervals. I'm not doing anything high intensity. I've done some prenatal yoga videos, but it's something I need to work on, is like giving myself the space to get into yoga, because I can't do it. Every time I do it, I feel so good, but like I don't know. I have all these like ideas of things I should be doing, and then all of them together overwhelm me, and I do none of them. So anyway, I've been going back to the gym. Foot cramp. I've been doing like 2 days on, 1 day off, and I think that's like the best cycle that works for me. Hey you. What I didn't do, I'm sorry. There you go. So anyway, that's about it. Use reusable straws and bags. Eat healthy while you're pregnant. Try and do everything in your power to avoid having a C-section or unnecessary interventions. I know that it's not always possible, and I'm not judging you moms that have had these situations, but I also am in a class with a lot of women that were like basically tricked into C-sections. So, and that's why they're there, is to try and do everything possible to avoid it happening again. And there are a lot of things you can do. Go to spinningbabies.com. That is something that helps get your baby in the optimal position for birth and makes it so you're less likely to need interventions or anything. And just do your research. and do the best you can, and subscribe to my channel and change the world. And look at my cat eating his hair tie. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, bye. Happy, I don't know what time of week it is. Bye.